Hello everyone, welcome back to Paul's Tech News. As you might have noticed, I am not in the same place that I was last week. My office, alas, is no more, but my newly upgraded home studio, garage, features luxurious amenities such as a fresh coat of paint, a new floor, and most importantly, a 2-ton split HVAC unit that can dump cold or warm air as needed directly onto my face and body. This space does not feature a properly built out set yet, however, and since I've been moving all week and have newly discovered muscles that scream with agony upon even the slightest movement or gesture, I was forced to make some accommodations in order to be able to present you all with today's video. It is basically the Tech News minimum viable product, which means some rapid fire tech briefs all the way down. But before I drop these briefs, how about a drink? Here's to my first tech news back home. Cheers.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Corsair IQ Link System Hub, a single small controller that manages all of your system cooling and RGB lighting. The IQ Link System Hub mounts magnetically to your case and can control up to 14 devices, 7 per port, with daisy chain support so you can simplify your cable management while still enabling glorious synchronized RGB. Corsair's IQ software can automatically configure IQ Link components while enabling precise fan speed control and real-time system monitoring. Click the sponsor link in the video's description for more on the Corsair IQ Link System Hub. So let us begin these tech briefs with hope for the future, and that hope is brought to us by Intel, who we all want to make good GPUs to perhaps bring some balance to the current duopoly burdened marketplace, and if Hardware Lux editor Andreas Schilling is to be believed, Intel Battlemage GPUs, the successor to Arc, are already up and running in the labs. Specifically, the Battlemage BMG G10, which would be the successor to the Alchemist ACM G10 that the A770 and A750 use, was seen in the failure analysis labs during a factory press tour in Malaysia. TSMC will be manufacturing these GPUs on their 4nm node and will probably see them launch in the second half of 2024. Intel also had a lot to show off at the Hot Chips conference this week, especially if you like CPUs with more cores and threads. 144 cores will be available in upcoming Xeon, Sierra Forest, and Granite Rapids processors expected in the first half of 2024. They'll be manufactured on the Intel 3 process, but only Granite Rapids will feature the newer and faster Redwood Cove P-cores. Intel also showed off a wild 8-core, 528-thread CPU. That's 66 threads per core, which was purpose-built for some very specific massively parallel workloads such as graph analytics for DARPA's Hive program, which sounds neither scary nor mysterious. The CPU uses silicon photonics for chip-to-chip communication though, and is based on the RISC architecture and not x86, and if you understand what all that means, then you may proceed to the next level. Starfield launches this week, and early reviews are already out for the hotly anticipated space RPG, and it looks like the game might not become a victim of its own hype after all, with a promising Metacritic review of 87 on average based on 54 reviews currently, and messages of thanks / huge sighs of relief being posted by the dev team, who I'm sure have been clenching their collective sphincter muscles for some time now leading up to the launch, which is Wednesday, by the way, unless you pay extra for early access, which you shouldn't based on principle, but a bunch of people probably will anyway. Alongside the Starfield debut, we have some new GPUs coming out from AMD, the Radeon RX 7700 XT and 7800 XT, which will also launch Wednesday, so a few leaks have trickled out this week. The RX 7800 XT, for example, might hit a score of 19,000 or so in 3D Mark Time Spy, putting it in the same performance ballpark as the RX 6800 XT. The 7700 XT, meanwhile, might do around 17,000 points in the same test, which would put it a bit ahead of the RX 6800 non-XT. These are early leaks, so a grain of salt and all, but this next one would appear to be verified as it came directly from Scott Herkelman, GM of AMD's graphics business unit, who said they were initially considering using that 12 VH power or 12 V2x6 connector on these new GPUs, but decided against it. And perhaps they're just throwing shade towards Nvidia bringing that up at all, but one thing Nvidia does seem to be concerned about is how the 7700 XT stacks up versus the 4060 Ti 12 gig. The price for that card has dropped a decent bit in recent weeks and can now be found for $450 or even $430 US. Still too much money. In other Nvidia news, the H100 GPU built for AI is in high demand worldwide at the moment, and most recently, they've had buyers from the Middle East expressing interest. But hold up there, says the US government. We're going to ban that before any sales can go through. Nvidia disclosed the ban in a recent public statement, but did not specify which Middle Eastern countries are included. The reason seems to be that if the US already doesn't trust China with our best AI solutions, they also don't trust the newly banned countries in the Middle East not to resell chips to China or not to set up AI farms in the Middle East that China can just run remotely. Maybe the real reason is the terrible secret they discovered, that you can't spell China without AI. You can't spell the United States of America either. But one thing that would help with our ongoing struggle to make sense of AI would be if we could just tell what is AI generated and what isn't. So Google's DeepMind team created the Synth ID watermark, which went public on Tuesday. Its function is to watermark AI-generated images in a way that is imperceptible to the human eye, but can easily be caught by a dedicated AI detection tool. And it makes sense that no human would be able to detect or remove a watermark directly embedded into the pixels of an image. That's very compute intensive. There's a lot of data there. But do you know what probably could figure out how to do that? AI. It's like that old paradoxical question, could AI create a rock so big that even AI couldn't lift it? Something like that. Lastly, to close with a palate cleanser, let's give some credit to an unnamed group of benevolent hackers who breached the spyware firm Web Detective and deleted personal info from more than 76,000 devices that had been compromised by the spyware. Stalkerware, as it is called, is used to monitor individuals without their consent, and the gregarious gray hats responsible for the breach made their opinion of this kind of software abundantly clear. #FuckStalkerware. I'm inclined to agree. Well done, mysterious guardians of other people's privacy on the internet. And well done to all of you for sticking with me on this first episode of the show from my new digs. And there you have it, tech news for the week. I almost forgot to drink more of this beer since the show went so quickly. But if you liked it, click that like button or leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all the articles I talked about today are linked in the video's description if you're interested. And you can also check out my store at paulshardware.net for high quality merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies, beer sets, and more. Subscribing to my channel is always a good call too. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you next week. Well, I'm back.